Hey everybody, Brendan here, aka Cliff Jumper. Experienced mechanics, you can go ahead and skip and go to your next video because this is not for you. This is for the rookie mechanics, folks who are just learning how to work on their cars. And we are focusing on the 2003 Sequoia today. This is just going to be a quick run through of how to change your oil at home in your driveway. So if you've never done it before, stay tuned and we'll walk you through it. So 2003 Sequoia, this same procedure applies to all of the Generation 1 Sequoias. I don't know the exact age range, but I think it's like a 2001 to 2004 is about the age range. And honestly, on the 2005 through 07 or 08, the Gen 2, it still works. It's basically the same stuff. So a couple things to point out. That is the oil filter down there. So if you're looking at the front of the car, wondering where the heck the oil filter is, because we are going to change that, approaching it straight down, that is where it is at. And you may or may not have one of these installed, a metal skid plate. So the first thing that we have to do is remove the metal skid plate. There are a few bolts right here, that need to be removed. And then if we come back right in here and right in here. So those have to come out so we can drop the skid plate, not so we can change the oil, but so that we can change the oil filter, which is back up in here, without making a giant mess. You can actually change the oil without removing this, but you can't change the filter easily or without making a giant mess. So we're going to go ahead, pop that off, get that done. Okay, so starting with the 4 bolts. These are 12mm bolts. And what I like to do is I'll just loosen the front ones. Then I will completely remove the back ones. Keep it supported so the thing doesn't come down and smack you in the head. Ask me how I know. Those are out of the way. I will go ahead and continue to support this whole thing while I remove the front bolts all the way. All 4 bolts removed. Now we can lower it and slide it out of the way. I usually like to hit it with a fresh blast of this rust inhibitor spray while I've got it out. So I'm going to go ahead and spray this, and that will just help, and then we'll get to the rest here. This is just Loctite rust neutralizer. I like to hit all these weird little areas where you can see surface rust just starting up. And yeah, you could go like the extra mile and go and clean a lot of this stuff and hit it with a grinder and repaint it, but I live in Southern California where rust is not really a giant issue, so I just hit it with this every once in a while, and that seems to do the trick to keep it from all rusting away to nothing. Okay, so the oil drain is our next step. It's pretty much straight back. Right here, this is your oil drain. It's a 14mm bolt, so we're gonna stick our pan underneath it, loosen that, and let all the oil drain out before we deal with the oil filter, which is now very easily accessible here. we go. And let that all drain out nicely. Okay, now it's down to the end little dribble. I'm gonna go ahead and pop that off there. I got a new crush washer. Stick on the drain. We will go ahead and pop that back in place. A little wipe. Golden rule of thumb, you do not need Kung Fu Voodoo Monkey Death Grip level of strength, just make it tight. There we go. You don't want to strip it. This is a steel pan, so stripping it's not likely, but you don't have to like torque it down like crazy. Okay, let's focus our attention now to our friend, the oil filter, and this is going to be messy. So we're going to put the drain underneath it and try to catch it as best we can, but this tends to go everywhere. So just be prepared to clean up a mess afterwards. Theoretically, it should just be hand tight. And okay, good, good, it actually is. So hand tight, and up, there we go. Gonna take my time with draining it, make sure it goes mostly in the drain pan. You want to take a little bit of the oil and put it on the new gasket for your new oil filter. It's a helpful thing to make sure it seals nicely. Doesn't take a whole lot, but just getting that on there. Hand tight. You don't need to use a strap wrench or anything, just until it's tight as you can get it with your hand, and that's good. And then we will do our best to clean up the drips and the mess here, because we don't want dripping in our driveway. Slide out our oil drain pan. We will recycle this here shortly. Clean up any dripping around the edge of it, because I don't want stuff contaminating the driveway or anything like that. So nice, clean. Get all that out of the way, and we're going to put the skid plate back in place. And reinstallation is the opposite of installation. We're going to start with the front, get those in place, and then we'll deal with the back. And now we just need to fill. So here's your oil filler. Do not confuse it with the brake fluid, which is back here, or the coolant, which is here, or the radiator cap, or the power steering, or the washer fluid. We have seen people make many mistakes like this, but this one actually says engine oil if you've got the original cap. See? Engine oil, and it says what kind of oil you should use, 5W30. That is good for most climates. So we're just going to set this off to the side for a moment. That's where we're filling. I like to use one of these fillers that gives you enough room to actually stick the whole thing in. And I'm not sponsored or anything, but I've been using Mobil 1 for many, many years on all my vehicles. It's excellent grade. If you look at any of the oil versus oil demonstration videos, there are many of them on YouTube. This always comes out on top. And the high mileage stuff is especially good for if you live in a cold climate, by the way. There was a recent study showing that this is better than the regular Mobil 1, even if you don't have a high mileage vehicle. Now this vehicle has 180,000 miles on it, 170, something like that. So it is needing the high mileage. So we're going to use that. We're going to close this. I'm going to go turn the motor on for a moment just to circulate the oil through the system, and then we will check the level in the dipstick. Okay, now that we've run the motor, dipstick is right here for the engine oil. If you've never messed with it before, pull it out, wipe it off first to make sure that anything that was swishing around while the motor was running is out of the way. Reinsert, and then come back out and check the level. And you can see it's barely on the end there, so we're going to need to add another quart to get it into the zone. You want it to be between these two marks. Let's see what we got here. So we'll clear it, pull it out again, and look at that. It is still a little low. So we're going to want to add a little bit more. It is just barely above the minimum. Okay, level surface, added another quart. Let's see. I'm going to wipe it off. Reinsert, and there we go. We are right in the middle of the zone now. I could add another half a quart and be good, but we're going to leave it for right now. I'll drive it around for a little bit and we'll add it. But look how clean that oil is. That's fantastic. That's what we want to see. Cool. Now we're going to reinstall our oil cap. Very important for not having it spurt all over the place and make a giant mess. There we go. One click. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention. So what do you do with your oil that you have now drained into this drain pan? Well, you can empty it back into your now empty oil container here, and take it back to the AutoZone or Pep Boys or O'Reilly's or whatever your local auto parts store is. Most likely they have a recycling program. You just drop it off and they will recycle it. So we help the environment and don't create really nasty messes. All right, cool. Yeah, pro tip. If you are new to changing your own oil, I hope that helped you out. And this is not a big scary thing. This is something you can do yourself in your driveway. Let's see. Cost of materials was about $50. The oil and filter came with, look for deals. Mobil 1 oil, most oil is about the same amount of money. Sorry, I'm rambling, but most oil is about the same cost. So get synthetic, whatever you get synthetic. I like the extended high mileage version of it. It has been proven in independent tests to be better for your motors, especially in the Sequoias. If you are in a very cold climate, you may want to look into what the local folks recommend as far as oil weight goes. Here in Southern California, 5W40 works just fine. So we're using that. It was about $50 in materials. And if you look at the cost of getting a synthetic oil change in your local place, it's probably going to save you about 50 or 60 bucks. So well worth about 20 minutes of your time to do this yourself. God bless you. Make sure you hit like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
And on that terrible disappointment, it's time to say goodbye. We'll be back.